Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Kim Duramo with MindBody TV. Welcome to this week's episode. This is a really special episode because, well, not only because of so much that's coming up for so many of us and collectively, just globally, what's coming up for us, as a society. But also this will be my last live for the summer. I'm taking a break for the summer. Until I come back in August. We will still be sharing lots of really great content from past broadcasts that were like favorites. So if you're subscribed at drkimd.com, certainly stay tuned, and you'll be resourced there. And I'll be tuning in, of course, in the MindBody community and Facebook and on YouTube intermittently. But this is the pause, not the last of our, because I've been doing this for years now, but we're going to take a pause in the weekly Wednesday live broadcast until August. So hello to everyone who is here live. Let me just make sure this is working. Looks like we are here. But I don't see anybody yet. So I think there might be an issue with my technology. I'm sorry. Yeah, we've got, here we go. It's working. All right. Hi, everybody. So I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. Where are you in the world? And I would also love to hear from you if you just do a little check-in. Scale of 1 to 10. Where are you resonating? And that's really a matter of like, breathe into your body, a little bit of awareness. Hey, body, how are you? And if you just get a sense of your vibrational signal, how am I feeling? You'll be able to kind of gauge, even if you don't know like what's coming up for you or what emotionally is going on, you might be able to just gauge 1 to 10 where you are vibrationally. I want to do a little check-in with this. All right, what I'm going to be sharing about today. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Mario. Norma, Lisa, Randy, Willie, Mickey. Hello, Rita. Cool, Pennsylvania, Iowa, UK, Denver, so close to home, Texas. All right, everybody, another from UK, Pacific Northwest. All right. So, and hello, everybody who's listening to the recording or listening to the podcast. Hello, Belen from Madrid. Okay, we're going to talk today about how are you responding? How will you respond when things come up? How are you responding to this global awakening? We are in the midst of a massive, like the peak of this global awakening. You may have seen this chart before when, something gets initiated and seems like nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden, that curve hits a tipping point and everything's happening. So I'm going to show you my little curve here, but you're coasting along through time. It's like, yeah, nothing's happening. People are talking about in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000. It's coming, this major global change. For those of us who are really, really sensitive, you're tuning in these early stages, like, whoa, starting to notice something's happening here. You can feel it. We also can see in the Schumann frequency, the frequency of planet Earth, the frequency that the Earth emits, which is detected, out in space, is vastly increasing, like at a wicked peak. All of a sudden, whoa, what happened here? Maybe the machines are erroneous. No, this is real. There's an increase in frequency, very dramatic. Over time, it's like hitting this tipping point. And we're like right about here where everyone knows, whoa, something's happening, something's going on. You can see it and you see a sharp increase in this curve. Like, this is not our norm. And then you start to see right about where we are here, like, whoa, massive, unthinkable change. Our world is unrecognizable. Not in a bad way, in a beautiful and amazing way. We have not been living from peace. If you haven't noticed that for yourself, you certainly can notice that for those around you. As a doctor, it's really easy to see anxiety, depression, suicide at an all-time unthinkable high. Like 50% of kids are experiencing this. Most of them are on medications. Adults are most of us are living in a near chronic state of anxiety. There's something happening. There's a speeding up. It's fear, but it was previously unconscious. Let me just stuff it. I don't notice that. I'll just kind of live in my little box and not go outside my comfort zone, and it's okay. That's no longer going to work, or it's no longer working. And more people are starting to like, whoa, I can't suppress this. There's something happening. What is this global awakening, and how will you respond? The first thing to understand is when the frequency increases, whether you walk into a room filled with people in love who are not judging you, or the Schumann frequency is increasing on the planet and we feel this globally, whatever it is, stuff happens. Doesn't necessarily feel good. It actually brings up all the spaces in you where you have felt fear that you've not acknowledged and met, you're still suppressing, where you have felt grief that has not been completed and released, where you have felt shame, or not felt shame necessarily, where you have stuffed and suppressed shame. You haven't let it fully come through and move. And a lot of us, like I've been talking about in these broadcasts for a very long time, are living where almost everything we do is to keep this in suppression. Let me go out and do a good job at work, or let me go out and take care of all my family so I'm a good person and I don't have to feel this inadequacy, or I don't deserve, or I'm not good enough, or the fear. So it can be so subconscious. But if you look at your actions and behaviors, take a pause before you pick up the phone and look at your messages or your Facebook or whatever, and you're like, wait a minute, what am I feeling right now? That I'm going to my go-to, before you eat, little food foreplay, before you go to your go-to of your food or your device or whatever, wait, what am I feeling right now? Am I feeling empty in some way? And so I'm going to this go-to to get a hit, because you'll get that hit. It's temporary. It's not real, but it will keep you in distraction. So where are you residing? What's coming up for you? Are you in love, or are you in fear? And the thing I want to talk about with not just how we're responding to the stuff that's happening, and not just what's happening in coronavirus or what's happening in the news or what's happening in society. What is coming up in you moment to moment, day to day? So how will you respond to that? Because the global stuff that's happening is actually triggering stuff that's in you, where you feel anger, or I'm justified in this, or hey, this is not fair, let me speak out. Someone sent me an email this week because of a comment I made on someone's Facebook post. And I simply shared that I thought she really had a great way of making her point. It was not a perspective I had heard before. And I'm definitely someone who stays open to all perspectives without living in conclusion of what I think is real or true or right, as best I can. And this person emailed me and said, I need to speak my truth. And I need to let you know that I felt offended and I felt bad. And I thought you were a conscious person and that you would not say something like this. And it was fascinating, because even the littlest thing right now can bring up so much in us. So like layers upon layers upon layers of what was previously suppressed. So be aware of this. This is what's going on, either related to the societal and global events, or related to like what your neighbor did with your garbage, or something that happened with your cat, or anything. Could be anything. Like, gosh, I couldn't find my red pen today. I feel so inadequate. It can be the smallest, seemingly insignificant thing that could trigger such a profound unleashing of things in us. It's not because something's wrong. It's because these are meant to be released, and we're meant to live in freedom, not suppression. So will you live from love or fear? Will you respond from love or fear? Doesn't mean that you're not feeling fear if you choose to respond from love and compassion. You can choose to respond from love and compassion, but be witnessing massive fear or grief that's arising for you. And all of the work I'm sharing as a doctor, as a practitioner, is about how you relate to that which is happening in you from love and compassion. Embrace, not suppress. But it's also how you relate to everything that's getting triggered or that's coming up. It's not about what's happening out there. It's about what it's triggering that's arising in here? Can you begin to put some awareness on that? I did actually just post a really great article by one of my mentors, Sylvie Olivier of Golden Heart Wisdom. I posted it in the MindBody community in Facebook. If you're not there, you can go over in there and check it out. It was a really powerful way of saying that it's our vibrational signal, not the circumstances and events, that create our lives, that make 100% of the difference. It's our vibrational signal, not what we're feeling or experiencing, that is what creates our life and makes all the difference. So even if you're feeling fear, even if you're feeling grief, which for me, the last couple of days, I had this like immense amount of grief come up. I had no idea what or why or anything, but I just made a lot of space for it and it moved through and I feel amazing, really clear to like a new degree of clarity, grounded in my body to a new degree of grounding in serenity. So sometimes it can feel a little tumultuous as we move into our own expansion, but you don't have to suppress that, even if you don't really understand what's going on. So the vibrational signal is, did I meet that grief with compassion? Did I meet myself with compassion as I was feeling something I, was really uncomfortable? Or did I get bogged down by the grief and feel like a victim, like, oh no, I shouldn't feel like this. Why am I feeling like this? Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I ate something. Maybe I need to eat something. Maybe I need this supplement. Okay, the spin out. Don't need to go there because you're no longer needing to suppress or change what is. You can welcome and embrace what is. That is the most powerful medicine. That is what lets it transmute. So the point I wanted to make with this broadcast before we take a pause for the summer is become aware of where you're responding from. Whether you're going to go protest something and take a stand, or you're going to call a friend, or you're going to share a video, or you're going to post a comment, get present for 10 seconds. Am I operating from unity consciousness or separation consciousness, which is fear? What's the drive behind, I've got to do this thing now? I have this really sweet neighbor who sends me lots of posts and kind of politically related stuff. And this woman was, there's a lot of stuff being censored right now. Here's the party line. And if something's not aligned with that, it's being taken down or censored, even though I know that's not supposed to be happening. But this was like, hey, create a virus. I'm sorry, share this and take a screenshot and share it because we got to get the word out there. And so the whole thing was like, hey, first you create a virus to scare people. Then you place them in quarantine. Then you count and post about all the people dying, blah, 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 blah. So I can understand the point she's trying to make about what the agenda has been. But the energy you could feel this from, like, you got to get this post out there. It's going to be censored. Make sure you share this. There's urgency. There's fear. And I understand that awareness brings light and clarity. But if you're in fear, trying to make people aware, you're actually working against yourself. It's a really subtle thing, but it actually makes all the difference. So whether you go out and protest or you sit home and watch Netflix, if you're doing everything from a space of what honors the divine in me, you're actually speaking and acting and choosing from unity, from I honor and embrace all that I am. I know my power. And I choose my serenity. Well, then everything you do will create a light that awakens others, not just the ones you see or talk to. Because your emanation, your vibrational signal is so unthinkably powerful, it affects everyone on the planet. So we're really moving into a time where it's like, okay, I know about that, I understand that, but hey, I got to go and do this thing because I'm just so uncomfortable and this is wrong. See if you can come a little bit more into the foundation of what you know. Okay, we're all one. We're all connected, even just scientifically, physically, energetically. We're not separate. When we look at the base of reality, quantum reality, there is no separation between anything. So even if you understand that, or you understand that, oh, in the heart, we're, in consciousness, we're connected. But if you could step into that even more fully as the foundation of your life, you could really let that work for you. You really actually activate the technology of your body to be the medicine in the world, to be the light. So you don't necessarily have to teach it or emphatically show it or demonstrate it or make people see, because there's like a lot of, it's so draining, a lot of energy that goes into that because there's so much urgency and fear. So are you willing to make the shift to be the medicine for the world, be the change you are seeking, and allow your vibrational signal? Because scientifically, we are seeing your body emits a frequency. It is very powerful, and it affects physical matter, your cells, your liver, your kidneys, your endocrine system, and it affects everyone and everything around you. Will you be willing to step into that and embody what you're wanting the world to awaken to instead of trying to force it? Okay, so let's look at some of these questions. Lisa said, this morning, I finally told myself, slow down. All is well. Being in a heightened state of fear was not doing me any favors. Slowing down, spending time with the cats, even in the morning, getting ready for work, gave me a new sense of peace and calm, something I've never experienced before. That's really beautiful, Lisa. And I'm going to add this, what you're noticing is really powerful. When we're on this trajectory, I shared before, you're on this like linear path of like, I don't know if anything's really changing. I feel it maybe, but I really don't see the world responding. And then we get to this point where there's this inflection point in the curve and you come up at light speed. It's an exponential growth curve. So we're like kind of right here, right at that second inflection point. What you have access to when you do open, like relax your body, breathe more fully, slow down like Lisa was choosing. You have access to unthinkable, like speed with which your life can change, fluidity with how quickly that grief or fear can move through, and access to higher awareness of, whoa, I didn't even see this before. So letting that in, which just relax your body, breathe more fully, is all it needs to happen. It's just what is required on your part. So what if that's your first choice instead of some of the other actions you might have been doing as like a reactive go-to? Nadine, I just joined Facebook and my stuff is being triggered. LOL, but not as much as I originally thought. So the work that I'm doing must be working. Yeah, when you engage in the world, and it's funny how many friends we have, Mario and I have, who are pretty conscious, but they're like, I'm going to protect myself from the world right now because everyone's freaking out and it really brings me down, that's a choice. But if you're isolating, it's not necessarily serving you or anyone else because you're like, whoa, I just can't handle people. What it means is I can't handle what comes up in me when I'm around these energies. And if you allow yourself to move into neutrality, which is I embrace all that is as it is, everything is experienced as love. Everything is, you witness that everything really is beautiful. More and more and more, instead of, oh, I only let good things in, I don't want any of that negativity, and then you limit yourself and you're like, I'm going to be a recluse because I can't just handle society right now. Like I said, nothing wrong with it. It's a choice, but you do want to get curious about that choice. Like, what if I could be in greater resilience so I could walk amongst the world and people and viruses and bacteria and be in health and in robust strength and in the same joy and love that I'm choosing. It's available. Red Deck said, hi, Kim, love you. Love you too. How do you think it's possible that someone living in the heart space 24/7, like Ramana Maharishi, dies of cancer? All right, this is a great question. In the conventional medical system, we make illness wrong. It's wrong to get sick. It's wrong to have a disease. It's wrong to die. Now, I was practicing as an emergency medicine doctor in a level 1 trauma center, critical care center. I saw a lot of people die. I was part of that process for like saving, quote unquote, the life, or the person died very often, like sometimes several times a day. It really showed me that to embrace life, we must embrace death. Neither is right or wrong. Neither is better or worse. Suffering, however, is optional. So you can be an enlightened being and live a beautiful, heart-centered, fluid life of truth and light in the power that Maharishi is in, right? Because just a gaze from that teacher is so powerful that the students would gather and just the teacher's gaze would transmit the consciousness of the teacher. Not, hey, let me tell you this, and hey, let's make sure you understand that, or hey, do 40 yoga poses. Just being present with you and gazing. And I actually had for a while a picture of him on my computer, that one of the windows. So I would just look there and I would always get an answer. I would always get a guidance. I would always get a realignment. Just him looking in the picture at my eyes, because I let it be that, you know. Anyway, why is it wrong to live a beautiful, fluid life of love and then exit when you exit? And you kind of need an exit strategy, right? Like your body's gonna, just like when you go to sleep, your body's gonna relax so that you transition into sleep. When you die, your body's gotta somehow succumb so your life force can exit and you move on to the next plane of existence. And there's nothing wrong with that. When we see ourselves as separate and limited, it's pretty hard to get your head around that, right? Like, but my mother died, my grandmother died, they don't exist anymore. That's not true. And many, many people I've worked with have come into that realization and are communicating with their loved ones in many different ways because they've begun to operate in unity. So there's no wrongness in exiting that way. Redek's other question, sacrificing, a lot of the things that are going on that we are beginning to uncover as a society, the darkness, the kind of like, you know, we live our lives and you're like, oh, I'm just going to stuff that and march on and be positive. Or I actually feel inferior, but let me go get another degree and make lots of money. And then maybe another 10 years, I won't really even have to feel that. Or, oh, I feel so despairing, but little touch of Prozac and I'll put that away, right? So march on for a couple decades. That is no longer something that's functional in any way. And we are seeing the outward reflection of that in the real darkness of what's happening, what's happened on the planet, what's actually been happening, that maybe some people have heard some things about, maybe not quite yet. And certainly the mainstream masses, it's not part of the mainstream awareness yet. But there are some unthinkably dark things that are happening. Is this happening now, coming out into the light because we've come into a higher state of consciousness and awareness where we can now see it, and we'll no longer buy into the idea that we are limited, separate, powerless, or inadequate? So we'll, instead of giving our power away, we will claim our power and be willing to see and be willing to know and be willing to choose and be willing to conscious, because everything that's happened is a reflection of us. Where have I not met my fear? Where have I judged the darkness in me? Where have I suppressed grief because I don't believe I can act? It's too big. I'll succumb. I'll be nothing. You know, I can't go through this, and we suppress. Where have I not known my divinity and not access the truth of who I am? I am all of it. I am divine and beautiful and sacred, with the dark, with the light, with all of it. I embrace all that is as it is. Where have I not lived that? And guess what shows up as the reflection of that? This shit happening in the world that has been so covered up, so unconscious, and so unthinkable. And it's time for us to awaken and begin to see What happens when we stay asleep and give away our power? No way, no more. And it will begin to, and some of these people who are being abused, like Redek is saying, they're in the heart space. Children are in the heart space. Well, are they coming as part of our awakening process for us to see in 3D what this does when we suppress, when we deny, when we judge, when we hate, when we aren't willing to clean up the pieces in ourselves that we don't know yet? And our whole medical system has been devised to repress them, make the symptoms go away. What are we doing? Big change from I choose to be fully alive and see that symptoms are what's right about this I'm not getting. That my body moving through an illness is my body working energy out physically, mentally, emotionally. And I can support myself through the process instead of repressing it. I've got to make this disease go away. Not going to work. So yes, I do believe that a lot of these beings are part of what is assisting our global awakening and creating a huge service so that things can come to light and finally be seen, and we can finally begin to make a different choice. Liza, I'm feeling everything so much more intensely right now than ever before. Lots of heavy energy. Yeah, so it may come in waves where you're like, whoa, this is like super heavy, unthinkable. And then you're like, wow, I'm at a higher state of lightness than ever before. And then you kind of dip down again and come higher, and dip down again and come higher. It can show up a lot of different ways. For me, the most essential piece has always been to meet what's arising with love and compassion. Because what's arising is all the mental archives, programs, belief systems, conditioning, all the crystallized emotions we haven't completed that get stored in the body that are ready to come out, that are ready to dissolve. We're ready to live free from conditioning. And there's a lot out there right now on this. Even just the idea of, quote, programming and what Hollywood has done to kind of like subliminally program us to think the way we think, not think for ourselves, obey, do as we're told, follow in line, listen, follow commands, doubt ourselves, and not know what we know. So you're like, why are so many girls having eating disorders and anorexia and suicidality and depression and anxiety? And, how have we learned to view the body and judge the body as inadequate? How have we learned that there's this one standard, which isn't even real in health or in the world, this one standard that, hey, this is what you're supposed to be. Now, I've wondered this for a long time, since I'm, 16 years old in high school, thinking something doesn't make sense about this. What's behind this? This isn't just about people making money. There's something bigger that's driving this global suppression. And we're ready to see this now. Yes, it's showing up so profoundly in our health and in our physical bodies. Do not make that wrong. Your body is your ally, and it will show you where you're out of alignment. Someone in Facebook said the physical is finally catching up with the energetic threshold we have crossed. Yes. Willie said, is it a different frequency or more intense, same frequency? This rise in frequency is increasing. The frequency of love, the frequency of truth, the frequency of peace. It will shake up all the stuff and make seen and felt all the stuff that's not a part of that, that's not true. So just let it move through. Even if you're really triggered, you're like, but I have to go out and scream at this person. Yeah, okay, that may be the choice. But take a pause to look. It's all beautiful. It's all acceptable. All of these choices. But if you don't take a pause, you don't know which one will create the most. So it's like, do I live in mental archive / programming, or do I live from truth? Well, what's truth? It's not just one thing, right? I'm going to share my truth. Like somebody wrote me on the email, I have to share my truth with you. I can't believe you responded to this person's post and said this. I thought you were this kind of person. And so just look at that like, whoa, what's actually coming up for me? What am I feeling? Disillusioned, bewildered? You don't know what truth is until you pause, get curious, open, and receive. because the truth comes through you, not from you. In your technology of your body, the truth comes through you, not from you. Just like health comes through you, not from you, not from your doctor, not from the pill, not from you working on yourself. When you open and receive, you allow the truth to come through you. So you've got to pause. Get curious. I think it was maybe 4 weeks ago, maybe 5. I did the broadcast about curiosity as the path to healing. Pause. Get curious. Is this even true? Is that really what's the highest and best? Maybe. Maybe not. But when we're in so much attachment, we can't see. Elisa said that's this morning, though. Hold on. She said, Gilbert, Arizona, I think 7 or 8. Been listening to a lot of your stuff and I'm focusing on breathing and accepting what is, knowing it's propelling me into much more embracing than ever before. Yeah, sometimes it's like, whoa, I didn't know I could expand this much. And she said, that's this morning, though. I've had a lot of fear about what's happening. So always distill what's happening. What's happening? So-and-so said this. So-and-so did that. People are being killed. This XYZ is happening. Pandemic of a virus. Blah, 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 right? Or media, propaganda. That's what's happening. Or you might be on the other side. We should be following the CDC and people aren't, right? And you're triggered. You're like, why won't they listen? Why won't they just wear masks like they're told to do? And you're in fear. Okay. So that's what the mind says is happening. It's not actually the truth of, like, all caps, what's happening. So you can only know that when you come back to the body. You got to breathe into the body. The mind can project a million things of BS, belief systems, and it's all an illusion. It's a fabrication. You can only really know, quote, what's happening, what's really happening here. Your body is registering it. Breathe in your body. It's all here. Relax your shoulders. Breathe more fully. Allow your breath to come to your belly. And then you witness what's actually happening. Oh, I'm feeling fear. What's actually happening? Whoa, there's intense hopelessness. What's actually happening? So-and-so said this, and I've been spinning out about it ever since because I feel, someone said something to me about my website the other day, and like, you really don't have SEO in place, and this is low-hanging fruit, and you should have backlinks, and you should da-da-da-da. And I was like, whoa, she's right. And she looked at the website that tells you this info, and I was like, and I felt like, yeah, for like maybe a couple hours. And then it was like, wait a minute. What if none of that matters? What if everyone I'm here to connect with finds me anyway? Can I choose fluidity instead of conclusion? And it felt so much lighter to let that go. I didn't even realize I was spun out, but I have this awesome business manager who always gives me a heads up. She can really feel my energy. And I was like, wow, she's really right. So what's happening? I'm feeling all this fear. Maybe it's from something that happened. Maybe it's, who knows? You don't even know, but stuff's coming up for unknown reasons. Can I just presence that? Let it move through, because what's real is deeper than that. All right. Lisa said, you have changed my life. You guys have changed my life too, because I'm not alone here sharing this. It's a communication, it's a co-creation. Okay, we got Nadine. I've been yelling less at disrespectful drivers since your advice last week. It's beautiful, because if you can't be the light, you're just contributing to. I was a chemistry major in college, and there was a t-shirt someone had that said, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the precipitate. But it's like that. If we're not emanating from unity, we're propagating the fear, literally. Now, it's okay, because the power of one moment in love / unity / harmony is infinitely more impactful and powerful than like hundreds of moments and actions from fear. That's a truth that's important to remember. Power versus force is a really great research project they did where they quantified this, and you'll understand a little bit more about that. But yeah, if someone's driving by and they're like, get out of my way, right? For me, it was always really easy for me to just be curious. I'm like, what might be going on over there? Clearly a delusion, right? That has nothing to do with me. And this person who sent me the email this week, it had nothing to do with me. What she felt when she read my post, or the disillusionment of maybe having put me on some kind of pedestal of expectation of what kind of person I was supposed to be, that I wasn't upholding her view of that. And then she felt like, whoa, who are you really if you're not following in line with my expectations of what you're supposed to be, posting on Facebook. So it can be really disillusioning and disappointing, but let it point you back to yourself. What's actually coming up in me? So you're driving your car and you get, the bird from somebody else and you're like, what a jerk. Or you're like, love and compassion for what's arising in me, for what may be going on over there. So you can be the light in a much bigger way, but it requires that you meet what's arising in you. You have one person to clean up on this planet, not the society you're in, not billions of people who are in a lower consciousness and they're all confused and being misled. One, and it is enough. When you do meet that one, it is enough for everyone. Susan said, thank you for speaking of the darkness on the children and your perspective of the Great Awakening. I've never felt more aligned with you than this call. Well, all that's arising and coming out, even though there's still so much that's being censored, it's come through the cracks and you're finding it. It's not ready. It's not ready to be exposed. It's not ready for the mainstream isn't ready yet. Let's just say it like that. Let's give it 10 seconds because there's so much shift that's happening that when things come to light in a bigger way, it's still going to be really disruptive to structures people are in, but it'll be a little less disruptive than it would be to come out right now. So it's perfect. It's come through to those who are ready to receive it. And for those of us, you kind of already knew maybe for a long time that something at this frequency was going on. But the specifics can still be really shocking. But remember that the only reason this is coming out is because we are beginning to awaken. It is a reflection of us. It has always been a reflection of us. It will always be a reflection of us. And if you begin to choose love, unity instead of fear, you will see the awaken accelerate greatly. You will have the impact beyond anything you could have imagined doing. Doesn't mean you don't feel fear. Doesn't mean you don't feel grief. It means you have compassion for what you're feeling. You embrace what is as it is and let it move through. Holly said, I've written, relax my body, breathe more fully on my bathroom mirror with a erasable marker as a reminder just to breathe and relax every morning while getting ready for the day. It works wonders. That's awesome. Thank you. Nadine, wow, right on. Norma, so grateful you're unraveling this. I felt compelled to stay informed about all that's going on and trying to sift through what is true. Yeah, in the mind, you'll never get there. You'll see. There's this way and there's that way. And this one says this and that one says that. And the mind, because the fact of the matter, like I said, it's not about what's going on out there. What's actually happening is always right in here. I can access everything that's happening right here. And that's the only truth I need to access. So beautiful. This has triggered all my fears, doubts, insecurities. And yes, I've become more reclusive because I feel like I can't deal with the intense energies. And that's what I want to speak to here is like, as your fears, doubts, and insecurities are getting triggered as never before, will you choose love or will you choose conditioning? Will you respond from love, unity, or will you respond from your conditioning? Because your conditioning says, I have to fight this. I have to prove this. I have to stand up and make it. I'm sure everybody sees. Why? Because I don't already know that all is well. Because I'm not already in unity where all really is well. So if you instead, whoa, this is mega. what's arising in me right now. And you move into that space of unity, right? In the heart, we breathe in the heart. This is where we connect. You can feel everyone and everything. You want to send a message to someone you love. You want to send a message of release and resolve to someone where there's forgiveness needed. Right here. Breathe into your heart. Relax your shoulders. Breathe more fully, and you'll witness more of that awareness instead of less. And then there's a different choice you can make. Because this is the whole point, like the vibrational signal you are sending is powerful. It affects your cells, it affects your life, it affects your world. And that vibrational signal is either one of lack, fear, or it's one of love, compassion. And that love, compassion is, yes, in the face of my fear, in the face of feeling lack or despair, not absence of it. Because a lot of people we're waiting till we no longer feel fear. Oh, now I'm emanating love. Or we're emanating fear and we're like, oh no, that's not the signal I want to give up. I got to get to love. Right from where you are. This is perfect. Right where you are is exactly what's required. Because you're transmuting that fear. You are the one who transmute that fear. Susan said, right before this call, I spoke with a friend who announced she had an aggressive form of cancer. I was at a loss of anything to say and just said, I'll pray for you. Is there a way of could have been more supportive? You can know that. Ask your heart. Feels beautiful to me because you being present to yourself is the most supportive thing you could possibly be. Be the medicine. As a doctor, the number one thing, if I do only one thing, it can heal the world. Presence, what's happening in me. So while someone's telling me about my fibromyalgia or this chronic fatigue syndrome and trying to convince me of their victim story, if I stay present to what arises in me, it clears. They clear. Their consciousness clears too. I see it every day. It's powerful. I had a private session yesterday with a woman with diagnosed with POTS and autonomic dysregulation and mast cell, over mast cell generation, like all kinds of things that were like kind of these wastebasket terms in conventional medicine. Who knows? Doesn't have a clue what to do with those at all, but made a ton of sense to me. And I could feel into her energy and the fear she was linked into at a foundational level, linked into this fear. And we resolved that. Right? It's the power of presence. If I can't be present to what comes up in me, I'd be bowled over by the amount of fear she was in. It was like, right? And most practitioners, that's why it's so hard for them to have a fibromyalgia patient or a chronic fatigue patient. You're like, oh no, I don't know what to do with these people. And I loved when I would tell my colleagues, like, send them my way. I got it. I will hold the space for them. Not because I'm fixing their problem, but because I refuse to buy into that. That is their reality. So holding the space for your friend and just sharing what came to you is the most beautiful thing you could do. Nadine, you just described my situation perfectly. Thank you. Rachel, where I struggle is if our lives are a reflection of our own vibration, then how does this explain the years of oppression and tragedy, which lots of people have suffered from? This surely all can't be because they have a low vibration. I don't get that. This actually, what's happening right now is because we are at an unthinkably high vibration where we're no longer can be manipulated to the same degree. Like the shit is coming out. You'll begin to see very clearly and with great specificity the suppression in propaganda. Even for example, in the medical system. And I've seen it for years, like since I'm 16, like, whoa, why are they suppressing all of this and promoting all of this? Well, now you can see it every day. You see things being censored, emails being sent out to medical societies, to alternative practitioners to say, you're not allowed to share any solutions or assistance with COVID or helping people, cure from the virus. You're not allowed to say that. Only the CDC and the WHO are allowed to say what's real and what's true and what we should do. And then there are people who, you see how it becomes really political, but the fact of the matter is, Curiosity. Wow, that's interesting. Why would that be happening, right? This is all happening because what has been covert is now becoming overt so that it can be seen, right? When we're awake, we cannot be controlled. Not because we fight it, not because we go out and make sure everyone understands, because we awaken. That's it. So that's how it explains what's actually happening right here. Frank, and I hope that's a clear way of answering what you're asking for. How do you discern between fear and peace? Yeah, it's funny that those could ever be confused. But if you come back again, like I said, it's what's happening in here, and feel the body. Breathe in, breathe out, relax your body. When you practice that, and the instant elevation is a really great way. There's a whole program I have on that, drkimd.com/IEP. But just that tool in general, which is in my YouTube, gets you tuned in. You're tuned in, you're here, you're aware. Fear and peace are black and white. It is so impossible to confuse them. But when you're not in your body sensing, witnessing, and receiving, you're in the mind, they get very confused. Like you get taken for a wild goose chase. So it's they're not so clearly delineated. You've got to breathe into your body, relax, and get here. And then you begin to sense what is. You sense everything. Fear and peace are very different experiences in the body. Susan, thank you for your perspective on your neighbor's post. I received a lot there as everyone reacting on emotions and creates an urgency approach. Yeah, so just witness. This is interesting. I hold you in compassion. Because that's, they're a caricature maybe in this moment of maybe something that's going on in me. Or maybe they're exact like expression of where I've been in the past or in another moment. So with compassion, not one more reason to fear. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Rachel, that explains it well. It's really helpful. Thank you. Belle, Dr. Kim, does your zodiac sign somehow influence the energetic challenges you're facing during this time? Yeah, it can. When we're in neutrality, we are beyond the collective mind, and we are beyond the Akashic records, and we are beyond the zodiac influences. So you can play around with the zodiac stuff or Akashic records, and a lot of practitioners do, and that's fine. But when you approach neutrality consciousness, unity consciousness, you're actually beyond those dimensions. Nadine, I'm a caregiver to a close friend with multiple sclerosis, and you're right. The best gift I can give him is not suffering in his suffering, but to hold an aligned presence in his presence. Beautiful. All right. Yeah, Susan, your friend said she felt like she was losing a year of her life. You don't need to buy into the idea that there is a loss, and you can have compassion for the fact that she feels that there is. She got diagnosed with cancer. There's a lot she's going to feel, and you can hold space with compassion for all of it because it's a real experience of all of this stuff coming up. Okay. Thank you, Norma. Facebook, someone said, yes, more disrupted things are coming up. So many are still waking up now and feeling the grief of realizing they've been living a lie. I so appreciate your reflections and reminders. Yeah, and I know, especially since I'm not going to be, we're going to take a break from the broadcast until August. I will be holding our collective in my heart. We will be connected. I know it's going to really nurture me to just more immerse myself in my own space with my family and step back a bit from my work. But I did want to do this to let people know we're connected in love. We are connected and we are powerful, and there are more awake people on the planet than ever before, or this stuff wouldn't be coming up so overtly. The mental archives are what's dissolving, like the belief systems that keep us in prison because we're living out these illusions of who we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to be and what we're supposed to be doing that aren't even what we want as individuals. But because there's so much conditioning, people dedicate their whole life to that. That's what's crumbling. That's what's crumbling are these old structures that are not serving us. Do not fear. Do not fear. So fear will come up, but you don't have to buy into the fear. Fear will come up. Welcome it. Welcome it. welcome it. You are the space of compassion that holds that fear and lets everything come into the light. All right, everybody. Lots of love to you. I'm at drkimd.com, so be sure you're subscribed, and we will be posting some of the previous broadcasts through the year. I'll also be in YouTube and sharing, and in the MindBody community and Facebook. Today is the last day. We've been running a contest in Instagram. Thank you very much, Alicia. And we're giving away like 3 or 4 of our highest, most popular programs for free. So if you are in Instagram, connect with me over there, and you can be a part of that project where we're sharing my online programs in a bigger way for people who are really enthusiastic about that. I will be enjoying my summer and my kids, and just really appreciative that we're connecting here. So definitely subscribe in YouTube, hit the bell, share this video with people that you love, because this is just meant to be a way to connect with the truth in you. There is no one out there or no thing out there that you need to tell you what's true and what's real. When you awaken, you cannot be fooled, and you will know, you will awaken to the truth, even just one breath at a time. So just each day, breathe into your heart, relax your shoulders. There's a lot of energy moving. There's a whole universe in you, and it's a holographic universe. So everything you see outside you is a reflection of that and will manifest. It can take a little gap sometimes to show up in the 3D. Do not worry about that. Keep your devotion here. All right, everyone, lots of love, and I'll see you soon.
Bye!
You're so cute.